In life, there are many kingdoms and many empires and many seasons to one man, and the way he thinks and the way he feels and his leanings and the things that he is tempted by. But when a man is tempted, he is tempted of his own mind by the subtle impulses of electricity. All right. These are sensational, or in other words, this is the mind of the flesh, which is carnal, and thereby your appetites and desires of going upon your belly, meaning your flesh, your carbonite flesh, being in a state of amusement without thought, then you're cast to and fro about the winds. The fallen angel is man, which left his first estate, and his first estate was being one with nature in harmony. But when he left that estate, according to knowledge, all right, and his knowledge was his own, and by that perception in which he perceived God, he blamed God, not knowing himself and his own conscience for the brightness of his reason. And the fruit that's in the midst of the garden, all right, pertaining to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, is one that pertains to actions that generated by comparisons or becoming separate, the development of an ego to recognize one's own free will outside the course of their original thoughts, the ability to act based upon selfish impulse rather than being in one in harmony with all things, creates the enmity and the variance and the emulations which entrap man, which is as a whore, being that he is comprised with carbonite, and one day he will die and be with the earth. And since everybody is carbonite, then this was create the ham attribute, in which when you elope or sleep with somebody, creating some type of soul tie with this individual based on superficiality and in a sensual type of way pertaining to sex, flesh, and lust. All right. This would be the fall of man, as in man is falling in love. The serpent in the midst of the garden pertains to when a woman's vulva is spread out. It is as if it is a serpent without fangs. And so the beings are as a flower. Okay, flowers, all right, being comprised of earth and being comprised of the Spirit of God of the field. And when they come together, okay, and a man, okay, is struck in his heel by his appetites and desires, God made blessing that the woman was able to bear life. Both males and females before God are in the attribute of woman, which correlates with the earth. Earth is in a state of incompletion as it correlates with the moon, and the human body being 80% water. This would be the ways and seasons of man, and the subtle changes according to the seasons of a man, the way he thinks, walks, and acts and behaves. You see what I'm saying? So we have the seasons such as the pride of summer, which is followed by the fall, which is such as the same by the brightness of reason, and a spiritual attribute pertaining to humanity in times and circumstances. So of any other creature, childbirth is not such a thing that is laborious as it is with human beings. And this is due to being cursed by knowledge, or having more of an aptitude or awareness of pain. Okay, this is the being illuminated according to consciousness and understanding that there are consequences that are natural and spiritual, which coincide with inside a being, that correlate with the actions of a man, which gives us duality such as cause and effect, light and dark, consciousness and ignorance. All right. So when God created lights, by the brightness of the lights, it was separated from the darkness, but the darkness is not an actual thing. It is the absence of a thing altogether, which we correlate with light. And we have personified by our words and our ways of thinking that darkness is an actual situation in which we attribute or arcanize with characteristics of disfavorable things according to pertaining to life, by natural circumstance, when darkness is not a thing but the absence of a thing. And this is where the human mind is transfixed or conflicted by the splinter between man's knowledge, which is temporal by tradition and temporary, and therefore fleeting, and oftentimes reprobate, because the essence of survival is the awareness of man's fall, which is a conscious thing, which man, if he does not pay conscious to his consciousness, will be filled with pride according to the knowledge that he has. But the knowledge he has is only correlative to the decline or the spiritual fall of man, which creates the reality, which is a gradient of 50 shades of gray, pertaining to things that we would find to be altruistic and whole, and things which we correlate with being bestial, fleshly, or darkness, as the earth, okay, is devoid of a conscious, though it is a library of knowledge, and this knowledge is temporal, only specified for a time. Okay, therefore, the ego, or the name that is attributed to your flesh, is the pride of man in separation of his knowledge, believing himself to be separate than anybody else or better than anybody else, and his separation from God, in which he has a different kind of knowledge, okay, which is evil, and it's not in truth oftentimes for diversity or altruistic, but is specific, greedy, causes enmity and variance and comparison, which stifles the progress of man. All right. So peace and blessings be with you all. This is just a further breakdown of man's disposition and his problematic mind. I'm out.